How do you know when it's time for an educational AI break? Stay tuned to AI powered education and find out.
Hi, I'm Casey Wacker, an AI enthusiast who is also an educator, a teacher in a high school classroom setting. I get the opportunity to work with ninth graders in public speaking classes, but I also get to work with senior high students who are dabbling in the world of college and maybe trying out an introductory public speaking or introductory writing course. And I also am a technology integrationist. I have my master's in communication and composition as well as administration. And so I understand the components to leading with technology, leading with AI, and I love what I get to do. And I am joined here with
Sandra Weezer Matthews, another AI enthusiast and technology past integrationist. And I work with learners that are in a college setting, getting their teacher licensure and student teaching and the EdTPA. I'm also worked in a high school setting, but right now I'm in a college setting and I'm in an urban area where Casey's in more of a rural area. But we both are very enthusiastic about AI because we've played with it. We see what it can do for us as assistants and also what it can do for our learners as tutors. And that's how we approach it. And on the show, we often talk about tools, AI tools, but we also talk about AI pedagogy in education. And one of the things that we get really excited, don't we, Case? We get really excited about AI. And we both have trained staff. We both do the technology integration. People often will come to us if they have some tech question or educational thing they'd like to do with it. But sometimes we don't always think about how that might feel to the teacher listening to all these new things coming their way. So what's your experience, Casey, when it comes to that?
Well, I mean, I sit in the room as a trainer, but also as an observer who is expected to implement any sort of changes that our administration comes to us with. And most recently, we had a staff development on MTSS, the multi-tiered systems of what's the last S? I don't know. But basically what you do in your work already and is really, really commonplace, but we don't always put these labels on there. And it's to make sure that our work is aligned with where the students' needs are. And that is what we do already. And so it's so hard to sit through staff development where you feel like you're like, but I do that. So are you here because I don't do it well? Is this because, and like a negative sort of impact sort of hits you right away and you feel a little bit overwhelmed by all of the expectation. And then the next day you attend a session with me and I'm talking about using AI in your classroom. And here's this tool, here's this theory, here's this idea. And now you pair all of this. And it's really easy to get overwhelmed. And I see that in a lot of staff members. And I feel badly because, while I'm encouraged and enthusiastic about AI, I totally get when I'm sitting in a room trying to initiate something new or what seems to be new. It feels almost like negative feedback more than it is like, hey, what you're doing is working and you're doing a great job and keep doing that. And so I guess that's sort of where I'm at. How about you in your space? What's it like for you?
Yeah, well, it feels very like when you're a trainer that you also get that negative feeling. And sometimes, we have discussed it as being fear from staff, which we understand that, but maybe it's not so much fear, but this constant bombardment of the new, something different. Like, well, what do you mean? Like what we're doing right now is not good enough. I'm not good enough. And really something that spurred us to talk about this was the cult of pedagogy with Jennifer Gonzalez, talking about how important it is for teachers and administrators, for all of us in education, to get really specific positive feedback that will help motivate us to know that that we are doing a good job, that we do have good relationships with our learners, that we do all kinds of these great things that we do because that's who we are, what we believe for our learners. But if you don't ever hear that positive feedback that's specific, not like, oh, you're just doing a great job, or I never have anybody complain about you, so you must be doing great, that isn't. But if you give specific positive feedback, that does give that ability to feel like I can do the next thing. I am good enough. I might try that. But if you're living in this, like, really, I'm not doing the right thing, or I'm not doing enough, because I think teachers feel like they never do enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I mean, if you're not feeling overwhelmed, you hear from teachers who are like, oh, I never take my work home. I'm always constantly like taking advantage of the time that I have in the classroom when the kids are working. I'm doing this and as an English teacher, and I know that this is probably an old trope, but it's like I have to bring home the work. I do not feel like I have enough time to dedicate to that. So that's my expectation. That's my job, right? That's what I do, grade these papers and give students feedback. And so when I'm listening to that podcast, I'm also reminded, like, me giving my students feedback. And what's so funny is, like, we talk about taking a break from AI sometimes because we need to feel like we don't have as much to do. Like, it's like, okay, that's one more thing on my plate that I need to get done. But what I realized is that when I use AI, I actually am so much more efficient, and I'm knocking off things on my boxes that I need to do, but I forget to do, like giving my students praise on something that is really working. And if I am reminded to say, hey, this is working, please keep doing that they're more likely to take on something new and different when they're prompted, right? Because they feel like they've mastered something. They feel really good about that. And I'm like, that's old news. Why? Of course, that's what I should be doing.
It's like just being a great teacher in the first place. Like you said, giving that specific feedback for growth, as well as something that's really positive. And administrators need those positive, specific pieces of feedback. Our learners do, we do. And especially in this culture anymore of it just kind of being a little bit toxic and fearful anyway, that we need something to hold on to. And sometimes it can be something as simple as that. So I think that we just got to need as ourselves to think that it's not always the fear of the new. It's just like that worry that I maybe not be doing the right amount. I'm not doing enough. And then that's not where we want that to go as trainers. We just want to give options, and we're here to support and walk with you. And maybe that is us as trainers too, need to be watchful and watch for where can we give that positive, specific feedback to the people that we're working with as staff as well. And of course, our learners. So it's time for, I guess, an AI reflective break this session.
Yeah, which is nice too. I mean, all good things need reflection. We've talked about that before numerous times, and I think taking this moment now to pause, all of the to-do list items, and maybe reprioritize where we're at and what needs to be at the top. And sometimes that's sending some positive feedback that, like you said, is specific to the people that we work closest with, and reminding them of the good things that we do. It's not, here's one more thing that you need to try, and insinuating that what you're doing isn't working, because that's not true, right? We work with great at all. We work with great humans all over the place, whether those are our students or our administrators or our friends and family. We all deserve a little bit of time to hear the things that are working really well for us.
Well, what works really well for me is getting to work with you as an AI enthusiast. Thank you.